Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest and repeat offender. Brent Humpherys is in the house. Welcome.
Thank you, Ron. It's good to be here.
Glad to have you with us. It's been a while, buddy.
It's been a few months.
Holy cow.
It's like old times.
I'm used to having you in here every few weeks with me and, doing my circumstances. We haven't had you on the broadcast for a while. We're missing you.
Well, let's make it an extra special broadcast.
Absolutely. We got to get some great information from Brent Humpherys, always sharing great information with us on the broadcasts. Let me remind you, if you ever have any more finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. Holy, my tongue's twisted this morning. I might have to have you take over for me. You can reach out to me directly anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are no operators standing by. I am it.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. I've dawned on me why I was so tongue-tied this morning, and I was looking at what we're going to be celebrating today. And for somebody like me who has beaten anorexia, there is a celebration today that we never want to bypass. You just can't go past this one. It's. I bet you thought I was going to say National Father-in-Law Day, didn't you? No, that wasn't the one I was thinking about. National Whistleblower Day? Not that one either. Today is National Cheesecake Day. How could we go wrong with cheese? And I understand that they've got a discount at Cheesecake Factory, so I might have to leave the broadcast early. Not that one either. Oh. Today is you gotta love that. National Cheesecake Day. Gotta love cheesecake. I might have to go over to the Cheesecake Factory. I'm sure there's a Cheesecake Factory close by. Might have to check that one out. Looking at the markets, Dow Jones Industrial Average down 69.96 right now. Oil up. We're not going to talk to Brent Humpherys about oil prices or gas prices because he doesn't know what those are. There's these things, Brent, called gas stations.
Really?
Many of us that don't have Teslas or drive, we have to go to these places on a regular basis. I'm just sharing that with you.
Something to get pumped up about?
Something to get pumped? Well, no, actually in California, I don't think the word pumped up is appropriate, but we're not going to go there either. $2.85.7 is the cost of a gallon of gasoline on the national basis. Here in Taxifornia, we are paying $3.62.4. Near and dear to your heart, Brent, $2.72.4 in Georgia. $2.72.4. Alabama, $2.55. That's where you want to go to get gas. Again, here in Taxifornia, we are paying $3.62 on the national average.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Yeah, me too. Not exciting, but then we look at maybe we'll save the bond market, the mortgage market. What's going on there? We'll save that for the next segment. I'll share with you. There's a lot going on in the mortgage world right now. I'm going to talk to you about that in the next segment. But there is news of the day. I guess I've got him here somewhere. I don't know if you've been following any of this. Bernie Sanders, he and the new candidate in Brooklyn or Queens, I think it is. They're very, very excited to be bringing you a socialist agenda. So I was looking in the news this morning. Bernie Sanders wants free health care for all. Free health care for... Linda, I might have to do that. Brea Cheesecake Factory. I might have to do that this morning. Free health care for all. So think about this concept. The newest number is it'll cost $32 billion. $32 billion is what the free health care for all will be. And they asked, and I've got to get her name down because she's in the news and she's great fodder for me every single day. I think her name is Miss Perez, Alexandria Ocasio-Perez, I believe is her name. But she's just, because she is young, very, very young, and that's not a problem with being young, but if you're going to be in Congress and you want to be that young, you have to at least know something. 28 years old. So what is her answer for this when they say it's going to cost $32 trillion, not billion, $1 trillion. Every person in America will have to have their taxes doubled. Now, I know I've got it on here somewhere. Ow! Yeah. They haven't asked her about doubling everyone's taxes so we can have free health care for all. And I did have somebody, while I was on vacation last week, come up with the idea and say, you know something? Medicare for all really is the same as slavery. Think about that concept. So I'm trying, how do you tie slavery and Medicare for all? Well, you're making the doctors work for whoever the government tells them to work for. They have to get paid what the government tells them they're going to get paid. They have to do what the government tells them they're going to do. All of these things are forced on them by the government. Think about that concept. So maybe it's not so far-fetched to think that there are a lot of similarities to slavery as you discuss that concept. Moving right along in the news. Did you catch Mike Pence's interview yesterday? I found it fascinating watching the vice president's interview, and they asked him about banning Caitlin Collins, the CNN reporter. And they asked him what his opinion was of that. And I found it fascinating because I'm a big believer in the same concept. So the vice president said, you know something? You've got to have a level of respect and decorum when you're at the White House. Now, whether you're a fan of President Trump or not a fan of President Trump, it's irrelevant. He is the president. And there should be a level of respect given just because he is the president of the United States. And we've gotten to a point right now where the media thinks that just because they have a media credential that they don't have to have any respect at all. Respecting the presidency of the United States, if we get a little bit of respect coming back in this world, wouldn't it be a fascinating place and a better place for most of us? I mean, the debate, the idea of a civil debate, I enjoy a debate as much as anybody, and I have several folks that I do debate on a regular basis. If you watch Ron Siegel Radio on Facebook, you'll see a lot of those debates. I don't hide them. You can go to my personal page. You can see those debates right there as well. But the concept is, you know something, show some respect. Respect to one another, respect to the office of the President of the United States. It's an issue of simple respect. And I think that if we get there and if we can do some of those things, won't it be a better place for everybody? Just a thought for you. It's just one man's opinion. Again, I don't care what party you're with. That's an irrelevant issue. Because I saw this quote earlier today, and I shared it on all of our social media channels. I'm going to share it with you right now. It is the soldier, not the reporter, who has given us freedom of the press. It is the soldier, not the poet, that has given us freedom of speech. It is the soldier, not the campus organizer, that's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier who salutes the flag, who serves beneath the flag, and whose coffin is draped by the flag, who allows the protester to burn the flag. And that was from Father Dennis Edward O'Brien, United States Marine Corps. I thought it was a fascinating quote because, something, let's show a little bit of respect right now in this day and age. And it's amazing. I was in Montana. It's a whole different world in Montana. It is the United States of America, but you see a lot of differences. The friendliness towards one another. There's less animosity towards one another. And I think that's a positive thing for the entire country to learn from. Again, just one person's opinion. I give that to you on a regular basis here, Ron Siegel Radio. Moving right along, what else do we have in the news today? Paul Manafort, the first to go on trial in the Russia probe. Manafort on Tuesday will become the first of President Donald Trump's former aides to go on trial accused of bank and tax fraud by federal investigators. Donald Trump's fight against unpatriotic media intensifies. President Trump's relationship with the press hit a new low after the president unleashed a multi-tweet frenzy Sunday accusing the unpatriotic mainstream media of endangering American lives by generating negative coverage on the mechanics of the Trump administration. Talked about that on a regular basis. And are you being surveilled by TSA? TSA collecting info on regular travelers. That was a news story that I just saw. Transportation Security Administration has been conducting surveillance on thousands of unknowingly American flyers through a program dubbed Quiet Skies. According to the Boston Globe, the program specifically targets travelers who are not under investigation by any agency or are not in the terrorist screening database. So it could be you or me or our friend Brent Humpherys right here being surveilled, but when you go flying. I know you're a big flyer, Brent, so we'll just move right along here. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, Brent Humpherys is going to talk to us. Are we dealing with another market crash? Is real estate crash in the works? Yet Diana Olick we'll have some information from Diana Olick. And I've shared this before. The next time she's got an accurate story, it'll be the first time, but we're going to talk about that. The number one reason to put your house on the market today, how to get a mortgage with bad credit, all that and more. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, on Twitter, @Ron Siegel. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1, Ron Siegel the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Did you know that banks and credit bureaus are rewarded financially if you have bad credit? And the worse your credit score is, the more money they can make off of you? How does that make you feel, knowing that banks are getting rich off of your hard-earned money? How does it make you feel, knowing that if a bank or a credit bureau makes a mistake on your credit report, they benefit from it and it hurts you? The Fair Credit Report Act of 1971 requires banks and credit bureaus to report only accurate information, and nearly 100% of all credit reports are inaccurate. If you're sick and tired of being broke and tired of being robbed by the banks, you owe it to yourself and to your family to call Rondi. Rondi is a FICO-certified credit professional and has helped thousands of people just like you get out of debt and establish great credit. Rondi's number is 855-608-1990. Again, that's 855-608-1990. Or visit creditsanitizer.com. Again, that website is creditsanitizer.com.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rates subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694552.
Are you a veteran, police officer, firefighter, doctor, nurse, or teacher? If so, you qualify as one of Ron Siegel's VIP heroes, and we have rewards up to $5,000 or $10,000 when you buy, sell, or refinance a home with one of the Ron Siegel Radio partners. As one of the heroes, real estate agents will rebate part of their commission, lending partners will give a credit at closing, the title company has special published rates, and many other service providers have incentives too. All you need to do is call Ron Siegel Radio at 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit VIPHeroProgram.com. Just think about what you will do with all the rebates and incentives from the partners of Ron Siegel Radio. Just call us at 800-306-1990 so we can show you our appreciation for your service.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990. Stock market continuing to deteriorate today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average down 100.92 right now. NASDAQ down 102.43. What's happening? Well, there's a lot going on in these markets. There's a ton there. It's really a big issue of the big tech companies, that they had been priced for perfection, and you know something, they find out that they're not perfect. That's really what's happening in the market right now. When you look at, I'm sure that if I did the analysis, if I wasn't on air, I'd be able to give you the exact number. But I'm sure a large portion of the Dow being down is going to be in the Nasdaq stock, or the Nasdaq stocks. Apple down $1.30. I'm sure last I saw Facebook was down big as well. How is that affecting the mortgage market? That's the issue that we talk about in the Mortgage Minute, being brought to you by our friends over at Gold Star Mortgage. They are the only one I know of with the Fast Pass loan approval. Yes, that's the one that your real estate professional could possibly save $10,000 to $50,000 on the purchase of your new home by being totally approved for your loan before you ever go out and make an offer. Totally approved. Well, the 10-year Treasury's up 1 basis point, the S&P 500 down 12, and the Fannie Mae 30-year bond down 5 basis points. Now, when I talk about the bond, I always say this. Remember, when I say the bond is down 5 basis points, that means the yield or the interest rate is up. But how does that square with the idea that we got some pretty good news in the real estate market this morning? And I know that there's, again, we talked about this going into the break, people like Diana Golick at CNBC, who's always screamed, for the last 10 years she's been talking about, actually I should say about the last 9 years, because if she would have done it 10 years ago, she might have been accurate, and she's never accurate. So here's the issue is, what's going on in the real estate market? Well, the big issue, and Brent's going to talk more about this in a bit, but one of the biggest issues, and we've been talking about this for months and months, is the fact that there's very little inventory. Well, pending home sales report came out. That measures signed contracts on existing homes, a good leading indicator of existing home sales, right? So pending home sales is when it goes into contract. Existing home sales is when it closes. Pending home sales were up 0.9% in June. That's the most recent data that's available. This was stronger than the 0.5% gain expected. Pending home sales are still down 2.5% year over year. Why? Well, you got to have something to sell. If there's nothing to sell, what are you going to sell? Well, we finally see that inventory levels rose 0.5% on a year-over-year basis, which is the first increase in 3 years. First increase in 3 years. So we've been saying this. If we get a few more houses to sell, there might be a little bit more in the way of sales. Believe it or not, Diana Golick from CNBC echoed our thoughts and said the rise in pending home sales, albeit very small for the month, does show that as more inventory comes on the market, there are buyers waiting to meet it.
Marvel that.
So, yeah, isn't that amazing?
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
I mean, it's just fascinating that if you get more houses for sale, we've been telling you that for quite a while. So the bonds are moving a little bit lower. We're going to see what happens there. If the stock market continues its drop, we will probably see that the bond market will improve, and we'll see interest rates dropping from there. So that is the Mortgage Minute. Again, brought to you by our friends at Gold Star Mortgage. They are the only ones I know of that have the Fast Pass loan approval. Brent Humpherys, Humpherys Homes and Estates, is in the house. And you know, Brent, I being that you, when I went you've been on the broadcast with me several times, thankfully, because you bring some great information. And one of the things that I really like because, I'm a little bit of a lazy guy, right? So, if you can get somebody else to do the work, and Brent comes in here so graciously, and he sends me what he's seeing on the street. Wasn't there a show about the man on the street? Isn't that an old TV broadcast? I think it was an old TV broadcast, Man on the Street.
I don't remember it.
Well, Jesse, yeah, you're not old enough. I get. Thanks, Brent.
You can say that 5 more times. That's fine.
So, when you're on the street, you're starting to hear people say, well, are we going to have another real estate crash? And, you graciously sent me this information. Is Southern California real estate market crashing? So I'm going to throw it to you because you're out there on the street. Is it crashing?
Well, I don't think so. Of course, now my entire...
Okay, so now we can move on.
Yeah, you picked up the lines. I mean, some of my good points that I came in to share, you just shared with this market report. Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking, Johnny has 8 apples. There's strong demand for apples, and so he sells all 8 of them. There were 8 sales by Johnny, right? But what if the demand for apples still continues and Johnny manages to get 16 apples? Well, then sales are going to double. Right? It's going to be a 200% return because he's now sold all 16. So the number of sales of homes has a lot to do with supply. If you don't have a lot on the shelf, there's not a lot to move. And so, the CNBC reporter's scary article, the Southern California real estate market, is it crashing? It's a warning to the nation, right? 11.8% drop in sales. Well, that was June. That's what happens. I mean, there are many reasons why sales fluctuate every month.
So let me ask you this, because I had another real estate professional that's on with me on a regular basis, and her comment to me was, a lot of people in a lot of parts of the country talk about the real estate selling season. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, I shared that I was in Montana last week, right? And in December in Montana, northern Montana especially, it's a little hard to get out, so people might be buying houses in the spring.
Sure.
Now, in northern San Diego, where you focus, there's not a whole lot of difference between December and June and September.
It's 71 and sunny year-round.
Yeah, exactly, right?
There are some seasonal adjustments, right? I mean, summer is really, really busy.
Okay, so do you see that you see a pickup in real estate transactions in the summer months?
Yep, and I typically see an increase in inventory around mid-April or so and into May.
Okay.
And then June, July, and August are really, really heavy.
So the people are thinking about that. They're putting their houses on the market. So we've seen a lot of appreciation. I'm looking at a real estate report card. I've got one here for the Carlsbad, San Diego Metropolitan Statistical Area. Easy for me to say, right? So the 43 years appreciation, 43 years on average, 4.89%. 1 year appreciation, we're looking at 6.55. It's pretty good numbers.
It is. It is. Yep.
So, and that's really... The big issue here is generally when we see a stock market, when we see a real estate crash, it's because there's been, as Alan Greenspan put it, irrational exuberance, right? But if we look at this and we're looking at 4.89%, we're not that far off from what the history is showing.
No, and the median sales price for Southern California, year over year, June over June, because we're at the end of July, so July hasn't posted yet.
Right.
The median sales price is up 7.3%. So the whole idea of, oh my goodness, let's provoke fear, or let's instill fear in our readers that there might be some crash, is acknowledging that the pricing is continuing to climb.
Right, and so that's a good thing. We want prices to climb, and I would suggest that, we've been looking at the Case-Shiller numbers, right? In California's Case-Shiller, I think the last number I saw was 10.2% year over year.
I think that's right.
That's too high.
Well, it is, and so this is
not that it's wrong, but it's not sustainable.
Right. Well, and the Case-Shiller's a particularly interesting study, as you know, because it's not just what the median price increases, but it looks at the 20 statistical MSAs, I believe, and the resale of the very same homes.
Right.
Which can be off, of course, if you have a bunch of flippers and institutional buyers that are, boy, we're both tongue twisted this morning. That are upgrading
it's
the
Monday
home,
morning,
right?
Brent.
Yeah, you got a $500,000 home and they put $100,000 in and then turn it in 2 months. That's going to affect the Case-Shiller is going to be a little bit off because of that. But the idea of Case-Shiller is to look at the resales of the same homes.
Well, part of the idea is if you continue looking at the same data, right? So for decades, Case-Shiller has looked at the exact same data over and over again. So if you keep that consistent, then you're going to have consistent. Then you can measure, right, what from time to time over certain periods of time. Great information. We like that. We always love when we get some of these articles that talk about, I think the last one that I remember, if my memory serves me correctly, the last article you and I discussed about CNBC and the wonderful Diana Olick was when she was talking about how long it takes to save money for a down payment in San Diego.
Oh.
And she was just as wrong then, so at least the one thing about Diana Olick is she is very, very consistent. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio discussing consistently wrong. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, more with Brent Humpherys. Is a real estate crash in the works? We can say no as a real quick answer, but the idea here is don't just take our word for it. We're going to give you all kinds of data to support our assumption. That's what we want you to take away, is where do we get our data? How do we come up with our assumptions? You check it out. You make the decisions for yourself. Just getting some background information. We're going to also talk a little bit about, is now the time to put your house up for sale? We'll talk about that one as well. And how do you get a mortgage with bad credit? All that and more. You can reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, on Twitter @Ron Siegel. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Siegel Lending Team offers you buying power. Let's say you can afford a monthly mortgage payment, including principal and interest, of around $1,900. With today's rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage of 3.75%, APR 3.85%, that payment could support a $416,000 mortgage. But if you wait and rates tick up to around 6.5%, which is roughly the average home mortgage rate over the past 30 years, that same $1,900 mortgage payment, including principal and interest, may only be able to support a $314,000 mortgage. That's over $100,000 worth of home you're missing out on by waiting. That's buying power. All you need to do to get started is reach out to the Siegel Lending Team at 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Payment example excludes taxes and insurance. Call us for full details. 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990 or SiegelLendingTeam.com. Equal housing lender. Licensed under NMLS number 217037.
Are you purchasing or own a luxury home? If you're like so many others, your home is your largest asset and the mortgage is your largest debt. The Siegel Lending Team has some amazing financing opportunities right now. Jumbo loans up to $2 million, 30-year rates below 4%, 15-year rates near 3.5%, and if you can believe it, 7-year interest-only hybrids in low 3s. The Siegel Lending Team has all the options for your jumbo or second home loan requirements. Take advantage of them while you can. To learn more about all the other financing products available from the Siegel Lending Team, call 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Again, call 1-800-306-1990. Rates subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender.
Homeowners that are 62 and older are about to find out a great way to live a better retirement. It's called a reverse mortgage, and SLT can help you learn more. Call the Siegel Lending Team at 800-306-1990 right now to receive your free booklet with no obligation. It answers questions like how a reverse mortgage works, how much you qualify for, the ways to receive your money, and more. When you call the experts at Siegel Lending Team today, you'll learn the benefits of a government-insured reverse mortgage, how it will eliminate your monthly mortgage payments, and give you tax-free cash from the equity in your home. Here's the best part. You still own your home. Now is the best time to take control of your retirement. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990 to get your free brochure. Call today or visit our website at SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com, or simply call 800-306-1990.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Text NEST, N-E-S-T, to 79564. They are the quickest method for you to get text message updates of new listings that meet your criteria. The number one reason to put your house on the market today: the National Association of Realtors, NAR, released the results of their existing home sales report, which revealed that home sales declined 0.6% to a seasonally adjusted rate of 5.38 million units in June from 5.41 million in May, and are 2.2% below a year ago. Some may look at these numbers and think that now is a bad time to sell their house. But in fact, the opposite is true. The national slowdown in sales is directly tied to a lack of inventory available for buyers who are out in the market looking for their dream homes. In fact, the inventory of homes for sale had fallen year over year for 36 consecutive months before posting a modest 0.5% gain last month, and has had an upward impact on home prices. NAR's chief economist Lawrence Yun had this to say, and I quote, "It's important to note that despite the modest year-over-year rise in inventory, the current level is far from what's needed to satisfy demand levels. Furthermore, it remains to be seen if this modest increase will stick, given the fact that the robust economy is bringing in more interested buyers into the market and new home construction is failing to keep up," unquote. The few houses that are on the market are selling quickly, according to NAR's Realtors Confidence Index. Properties were typically on the market for 26 days. Bottom line, if you're one of the many homeowners who is debating listing your house for sale this year, the time is now. Let's get together and chat about the market, and I will put you in touch with a great real estate professional in your area to assist in helping you. And obviously, we have a great real estate professional in studio with us this morning. We're going to chat with him in a little bit more in just a bit about some of these theses, these hypotheses. We already gave you the thesis of the broadcast today about, is there a crash coming? And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to disagree a little bit with Brent. He said no, I say yes. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in just a minute. That's the real-time real estate segment brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Text NEST, N-E-S-T, to 79564. So, Brent, I know that you're not old enough to remember, but I believe we had a real estate crash in 1929. Pretty good one, right? And we had a real estate crash in 2008. Now, I'm defining a crash as, a very significant drop in value.
Okay.
Right? 20, 30, 40, 50%.
Those would be things I would refer to as crashes.
Those are crashes. Those are significant. Now, in 1989, we did have a real estate correction. In 91, we had a correction. We had a bit of a correction in 2000. Those are normal economic issues, right? We've seen. In fact, I think I even forgot to mention, you got an anniversary. 17 years? Is that what it was? Your anniversary?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's stumping the expert here.
July 7th. Yeah, I celebrate every year with a cake.
Okay.
Nice. The anniversary.
I celebrate every day with a cake. That's why I'm my size and you're your size. You wait once a year. I celebrate every day. I got up this morning. Let's have cake. Or today, cheesecake. But the idea here is we see corrections. It's just like anything economically, right? You look at large cap growth stock. Every investment has cycles, right? It can't be. Every day is not going to be the huge increases. But when we look at the CNBC scare tactic, right? That there's going to be a crash because prices have gone up 7.3%. Maybe you and I should have a conversation with everyone about Economics 101.
I think it would be a great idea.
Right, supply and demand, does that have any bearing in this whole equation?
Well, it does. And what happens, Ron, and the reason I even thought of doing this is that a client of mine sent me the article, a client who's relocating to California. I've been relocating a lot of people to California this year. You know, there are all these articles that everybody's leaving California, you call it Taxifornia, gas prices are up, but people are still coming here. It's a land of opportunity. People want to be here.
Well, it's because you mentioned it earlier. 71 degrees, 350 days a year.
Yeah, well, except for the last month.
Well, that's because we have 15 days.
I think I'm writing refund checks. So this is what I'm seeing. You see these articles that prices are high. You hear the phrase, well, history repeats itself. We all know that real estate is cyclical. And so we look back at our most recent memory of 2008 and say, well, my goodness, if the prices are higher now than they were in 2008 in many areas, and year to date, I've listed and closed properties in 5 different Southern California counties, 5 counties.
Okay.
I've actually done more out of county. I don't know if I want to say this on the radio. I've done more out of county than I have in county this year. And it's fun because I don't have to pay for gas. So I'm out driving around. This isn't just research. I'm actually seeing it. The reality is that people are continuing to be...
It is what it is.
People are continuing to be very afraid of purchasing right now because they think the market's going to crash because pricing is about where it was 10 years ago. But we need to look...
About where it was 10 years ago. But inflation grows at 3% a year, 2 to 3%, right?
I think you've read my notes.
Oh, okay, I missed that part.
When you adjust for inflation and wages, and you look at the difference between interest rates today versus the early 2000s, the early 2000s, excuse me, it's just hard to talk today.
Right.
Something in the air.
Monday morning, holy cow.
According to CoreLogic, the affordability is actually 11% better now with prices where they are than in the early 2000s before the bubble.
11% better.
Yep, CoreLogic.
Okay, and home affordability is basically the price of the property and the interest.
Sure.
Right? Those are the two components of home affordability. Mm-hmm. So it's cheaper to buy.
And wages.
Yeah. Okay.
Because without wages, the other two wouldn't matter.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so what is so they're talking about the percentage of your wages or income that it takes to buy a home.
Debt to income ratio. Yep.
So we're better off. It's more affordable today than it was then.
Yep, that's true. And there was a study in Los Angeles County that said that just before the bubble, only 9% of folks living in Los Angeles County could afford the median priced home. Right now, 28% can afford it.
And there's a lot of logic in that, because if you remember before the bubble, you really didn't have to worry about what your income was to buy a house, right? You'd have certain lenders would say, okay, we need you to make $30,000 a month. They said, fine, I make $30,000 a month. Now, they didn't necessarily have a pay stub that showed that, and we had a lot of negative amortization loans going, so people were using their houses as a piggy bank, right? So those are some of the issues there that that really affect all these different concepts.
I have 3 clients who just in the last 6 weeks have had between $300,000 and $400,000 down, have excellent credit, excellent income, and have complained miserably about, and I'm sorry to say this on your broadcast because you're wonderful to work with, but just about how difficult it is to get a loan today. I mean, they practically need a blood and urine analysis.
Don't say that on air, because it might give some lawmakers an idea.
But you're right. The point is that lenders are fully vetting the buyers now.
Right.
And so if you look back over the last 10 years and everybody's walked through the TSA scanner, given,
they've gone through
samples.
Yeah,
right?
you've had a. I'll say it, Brent, because you're too nice. You've had a rectal exam in order to get a loan, right? I mean, it's crazy because there are a lot of people.
The lenders want to make sure they're not in arrears.
Now that one there, something, I'm going to let you stick with that one on your own. I'm not going to have anything to even do with that. So, okay.
But lenders are doing a better job, and because of that, look, today's demand is based upon a healthy and robust economy, very, very good wages in Southern California, particularly in tech, in finance, in biotech. And you look at all of those, and you look at the demand for property, I think that we are insulated from the type of crash happening again anytime soon, simply because we have a very strong economy and the lenders are really doing their job. Before, the demand was not based upon all of that. It was based upon what you said. Oh my gosh, anybody can get a loan. So
anybody could get a loan, and the concept that if properties are going to keep appreciating at 15% a year, if I put zero down and I can get a 15% appreciation, the real issue at that time was basically lending was more of an issue of the whole process was musical chairs. Right, we want to get into the chair, and before the music stops, and sooner or later when they pull out the final chair, we have a problem. But right now, I mean, I'm looking at some of your notes here, and the issue, and some of the notes that we just saw in the real-time real estate segment, is there's still a lot of people out there looking to buy houses. Do you find a shortage of people calling you to buy new homes?
No.
No shortage.
No shortage at all.
And you know something, I don't even know if you know this number, Brent. I know you're a statistical guy like I am. Is it taking you more or less properties out there, showing properties to find something or to win a offer?
So what I'm hearing around town is that it's taking longer because you have more and more offers, and that is true. I'm actually finding that people are buying a lot faster with me. The cycle of when people call me and to when they close escrow is a lot shorter.
Oh, so there's a big issue right there. Also, is if that cycle is shorter, then what others are experiencing, experience counts.
It does. Yeah, I realize if I say this, it's going to sound self-certain. I'm not meaning to do that. The reality is that they're about 20% of the agent. Well, actually, I think it's about maybe 10 to 12% of the agents in San Diego County are doing the most volume. So if you,
I would have thought it would have been less than that, a smaller percentage. No,
I've heard two different things. I'm trying to
be in the middle. Okay,
yeah. But the reality is that if you have a good relationship with other agents in your area and you've had good transactions with them, you can call in a favor and say, hey, look, I know that this home's going to get 25 offers, but do you remember that property we did over on Main Street? Can you help me out again? I remember it was important to you that the buyer, sign off on contingencies a little earlier, do this, do that, accommodate the seller if they want to rent back a little bit so the kids don't have to move before the end of school year. All of that finesse helps you increase the odds of getting your
I call that relationship capital.
Relationship capital.
Right, because it is. You're developing a relationship, and when you've got a good relationship and you perform, people remember that. And at the end of the day, what they really want is they want the house to be sold, and they want a clean transaction that gets to the finish line.
It's true, but I will tell you that over the years, I've had so many buyers just pick up the phone and call and say, we want to buy a home. And that's still happening. But the majority of the buyers that I've represented in the last few months have not been first-time buyers. They've been people relocating to California and needing someone to work with them. And so they fly in one weekend, we look at 22 to 29 homes, they write an offer, and they're closed. And so that probably has something to do with my answer as well.
Interesting. We're going to continue our conversation. Is a real estate crash in the works? We're chatting with Brent Humpherys, Humpherys Homes and Estates. And you are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. How to get a mortgage with bad credit. We'll talk about that when we come back as well. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. On Twitter @Ron Siegel. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Most businesses struggle to get the online reviews they need to get a competitive edge over their competition. Rex is a brand new technology that uses text messages to direct happy clients to your online review sites, Zillow, Google, Facebook, and Yelp.
and unhappy clients to a private survey so businesses can win more customers. Try Rex today by going to www.meetrex.com.
Are you currently renting a home? Do you like paying someone else's mortgage payment? Why not explore the options to purchase your own home? Can you imagine a 30-year fixed-rate loan below 4.25% APR? This means with $10,500, you can purchase a $295,000 home and have a principal and interest payment of about $1,400 per month. What are you paying in rent? Does your family deserve the opportunity to take advantage of the current market? To learn more about these exciting opportunities, the Siegel Lending Team is standing by to speak with you. Call now, 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Or 1-800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender. Not endorsed or sponsored by any government agency.
Do you have a goal of mortgage-free home ownership? What if your home was valued at $500,000? Are you aware that a free and clear home could be costing you $2,500 every month, $30,000 per year? The mortgage planners at the Siegel Lending Team would like to show you how you can own your home, generate tax-free income, and accumulate family wealth. You simply need to call the Ron Siegel Team at 1-800-306-1990. That is 1-800-306-1990. By sending the team a copy of your most recent mortgage statement, the team will send you a no-obligation real estate plan. You be the judge if this is right for your family. Again, all you have to do is send the team a copy of your mortgage statement by email to reap@ronsiegelradio.com or call today. Ron Siegel, 1-800-306-1990. That is 1-800-306-1990.
Rate subject to change and without notice. Licensed by the California DOC and BRENMLS 217037 and 145502 and Cal BRE 01869452 and 1866775.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions, as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio. Or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Your Credit Matters segment today being brought to you by CreditSanitizer.com. You have a credit report. It is wrong. What are you doing about it? Credit Sanitizer has the solutions for you. Why do I say your credit report is wrong? Because they all are. I've yet to see a credit report that is completely accurate. Never, ever seen it. So the question becomes, how do we get a mortgage with poor credit? Well, get your credit cleaned up. That's the first step of it. But there's several different issues. There are a lot of ways out there for you to buy a new home. There are private money lenders. Now, I chuckle because in 2006, 2007, we're doing loans back then, 7.5%, 8%, 8.5%, not uncommon. Today, private money loans are at the 8%, 9%, 10% range. What is a private money loan? It's exactly that. It's a lender that says, you know something, I believe in you. Maybe even we're dealing with something in the world of common sense lending. Right? All of those things are part of it. So common sense lending, I believe in you. Those are the issues that come about, and we look at them and say, okay, we're going to give you a loan. We're going to charge you a little bit higher interest rate. That's kind of normal when we're dealing with private money lending. And a lot of the consumers say, you know something, I don't mind that because I know that I want the property. I want this for my family. It's what's important to us. And we're going to go with it from there. So if you start looking at that issue, let's just get into the property. Let's deal with it from that standpoint. And you're going to accomplish your family's goals. What is bad credit? Well, bad credit is going to be, I shared this, or actually maybe it'll be going on social media tomorrow, is over half the loans done are done with a credit score between 600 and 750. 600 and 750. Mediocre credit is 680 to 700. 620 to 680 is still considered less than perfect, but approvable. 620, that's not the greatest of credit, but you can do it. What happens is you've got to get onto a game plan. So it's what's important to you is getting into the house for your family, right? You want the school district, you want the location, you want the proximity to work. You might want to not have the walk scores, the walkability, all of that is part of it. Get into the property. Brent's been sharing with us statistics this morning about appreciation of the property. Get into the game. Then get on a game plan. The game plan is talk to Sam Parker, talk to Alan Hayon. We'll put you in touch with either one of them. They help you get your credit scores increased. Then you go back and you get a traditional loan at market rates, whatever the market is at that time, which is going to be generally less than private money lending. All of those are programs. So my issue here, now the issue, you got to deal with student loans. We got to watch out for those. You got to be on time, taking care of some of these issues. Don't have mortgage lates. If you can possibly avoid a foreclosure, do that. We've had Amelia. My mind went blank. Amelia's been here from Wells Fargo. We've chatted with her on how to get those short sales approved so you can buy a short sale, buy a foreclosure. There's processes to get all these things done. And the important issue here, work with a professional team, because what's going to end up happening is you're going to go into some lender and they're going to say, you've got a 575 FICO score, you can't buy a house, sorry, next. Nah, that's not the right way. I don't work that way. I know Brent doesn't work that way. The concept is, how do we get you on a roadmap, on a game plan to be a homeowner and to accomplish what you want for your family? That's the Your Credit Matters segment. Again, brought to you by creditsanitizer.com. So Brent, I want to chat with you about a couple of issues, because we've been talking this morning about a real estate crash, and I know there was a lot of talk, especially for us in California, that we may experience a real estate crash based on tax reform.
Sure.
So,
I've heard that.
Right, we know that, real estate, if you have an amortizing loan, that can be a forced savings, which is good for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. But are you seeing where that's a major effect on people buying?
Yeah, I don't think so. I did think that when tax reform took place and the $1 million interest write-off became $750, I thought, oh my gosh, what is this going to do? Are we all going to go under? But I did a quick calculation. You must have your eyes over here, because I literally was just doing a calculation at the commercial. If you have $1 million mortgage that you were previously able to write off all of it at 4.5%, that's $11,250 or $11,250 or $11,450. My screen's blank, but a little over $11,000 per year in interest.
Okay.
Okay, difference between $750.
Oh, okay. The delta between
the
delta between the $750 and the $1 million.
There's something in the air here. I don't know what it is.
Is how much of a difference?
So the difference between 4.5% interest. I'm sorry, a 4.5% interest rate. The difference on a $750,000 mortgage and $1 million mortgage is a little over $11,000 a year. Now that's just the deduction that you can no longer have. So then you figure your property tax or your income tax, your tax rate. So if you're 25%, then maybe it's what, $3,000 a year.
Sure.
If you're borrowing $1 million, $250 a month is not going to make or break you.
That's not the difference of whether you're buying or not buying.
Right. So is it disappointing that you can't write off more than $750,000 on a mortgage? Probably. But what's that actually look like when you get out your calculator?
And the big issue there is, so it's only going to be dealing really with the house that's about $1 million to $1.2 million on the purchase price.
Right. It's a certain segment of the market.
It's just a piece of that, but it's not even all of it, because if you're buying a $2 million house and you're putting 25% down, last year you weren't going to get that full deduction either.
Right.
Right? So you're only going to get a percentage of it. Last year, you're going to get just a little bit smaller percentage.
So I'm not as concerned about tax reform, although I do think that for first-time buyers, when you look at the difference in the standard deduction,
right?
If you buy a home now, then all of a sudden you're going to probably be itemizing, and let's face it, homes are rather expensive in Southern California.
Sure.
So I think that it will affect some of the entry-level buyers, because I've had this conversation. I've been sitting in coffee shops with people and looking at different things, and I always encourage them to speak with a certified public accountant.
Sure.
And I have good accountants that I refer to, and they'll talk with them, and they'll come back, and I think some people have come back to me and said, well, we want to we want to be homeowners, we want to build equity, but I'm hearing far less conversation about, ooh, look at the tax advantages. So for a segment of the market, I think it's going to go away.
Well, but we need to kind of throw in there the caveat on that as well, Brent, because I know that you and I have chatted about this before, is according to the information that we've seen in the past from Harvard, from their housing department, finance is about the third or fourth item on the list as to why people are buying a house.
Good point.
Right? So that's not the main issue, is that thing. Okay, Linda. Man on the Street goes back to Steve Allen. I was a little slow in looking at some of the comments on here. Steve Allen, we probably don't.
Yeah.
You
I
don't
actually
remember
know that name.
Okay. Okay, so there are some issues in there that I was just thinking while you're talking, Brent, because my mind, goes in a million different directions, right? $500,000 house, 5% interest. I'm a simple guy, $25,000. Married couples getting $24,000 as their standard deduction.
There you go.
So the issue is, but you still get to write off in the property taxes.
Sure.
Right. So
up to that.
Up to up to limitations, again, as Brent put so accurately. Talk to your CPA or tax professional.
Right, yeah, brokers do not give tax advice.
We're not giving any tax advice here. We're just saying, something, but when we do a rent versus buy analysis,
sure,
we do put in there the tax ramifications, because we don't want to give somebody misleading information. Last year, there was some significant tax differences than there are this year. So we want to have the accurate information to give out to people.
But there's still a long list of compelling reasons why homeownership makes sense.
And if you want those reasons, give me a call at 800-306-1990, and I'd be happy to put you in touch with our friend Brent Humpherys. I guess I better start saying serving 5 counties. And be sure to set that first radio preset button to come back here every day to join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to John, who's engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990 or RonSiegelRadio.com. And remember, make a lot of money, help a lot of people, have a lot of fun, have a great day. We will talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.